Class 10, this is a third video lesson from chapter 12 radioactivity. So the first thing we'll do in this video lesson is uses of radioactivity. First is the medical use. So already you have known about this, that treatment of cancer patients, they undergo radiotherapy, right? So those radiotherapy, that means they are exposed to certain radiations. For example, specifically gamma radiation. So because gamma can penetrate through the human skin and flesh, it has good penetrating power. So they are exposed to these radiations. These gamma radiations can kill the cancer cells. But not all patients can withstand this radiotherapy, because along with the cancer cells, they are also killing some active or the good cells also. So that's why it's not always, doctors cannot carry out this radiotherapy with all patients, because it depends on their body, that how their body will be able to withstand that radiotherapy. Then gamma radiations are also used in sterilizing medical equipments, bandages, sterilizing them, etc. Okay. And also another use is, there are certain weak radioactive isotopes which are used as tracers. That means small trace quantity or small quantity of them are needed in the body to detect any clot in blood, or say any tumor, all those things. Okay, so these are the various uses of this emissions, radioactive emissions in medical field. What about in the scientific purposes? How can we use them? I don't know whether you have come across this term or not. Radiocarbon dating. What is that? The age of the fossils, say some dead decaying plants. We need to know the age of those plants. So how far back were they actually active, or when they were, when life was present in them. So for knowing that, scientists use radiocarbon dating. That means those specimens, the dead decaying plants, contain the C14 isotope of carbon. So that will emit beta emissions. So from those beta, along with the alpha, gamma, beta, so from those emissions, they actually compare the amount of C14 isotope present then in the sample with some standard value, and they can actually, comparing the ratio, they can find the time or the number of years before which, or at the time of which the existence of that dead plant was there. Okay, so it's basically to take the age of the dead decaying plants or etc. for some archaeological importance, it is done. So actually you have a lot of numerical, mathematical calculations for this radiocarbon dating, which is of course not there in your syllabus, at least not in physics you have. So you need to know a lot of things, integration, differentiation, all those things for those doing those mathematical operations. So I won't go into the details of that. So it's just a simple basic brief knowledge about the radiocarbon dating. Again, to estimate the size of nucleus of an atom, alpha particles can be used. How? In fact, I think you know about this thing, the gold foil experiment, Rutherford's, where he took a gold foil and he projected the alpha particles, and then there was an experiment, so which led to the foundation of the subatomic particles. So never mind, I don't want to go into that because it's not there in your syllabus. So if suppose this is a nucleus of an atom, how can one judge the size of the nucleus? By hitting it with the alpha particles. Alpha particles positively charged, so if they hit the nucleus, they will be repelled back. The alpha particles striking outside the nucleus, they won't be repelled back. Because nucleus is positively charged, containing protons. So therefore alpha particles being positively charged will be repelled back. But the ones which are striking outside, they won't be repelled back. So we can estimate the size of the nucleus of an atom therefore. So like these various uses in scientific field also. In industrial field. Now, you remember I've told you about this. Nuclear reactors, they are used. Unfortunately, this year you don't have the nuclear fission fusion reaction in your syllabus. Otherwise, you would have studied that. So, nuclear reactors are the ones in which we carry out controlled nuclear fission reactions to generate the electricity from nuclear reactions. So basically nuclear energy is converted to electrical energy in the nuclear power plants. So in those things, uranium 23592, so different isotopes of uranium are used as a fuel in the nuclear reactors. Okay, so this fuel, control rods, these are the various parts of a nuclear reactor. But since we don't have nuclear fission fusion, so I won't go into those details. Okay. Then other industrial uses, for example, suppose in the industries, when the machines are, you have this example in your book, the machines are used for a long period of time. So what happened? Due to friction, so obviously lot of charges get accumulated on the machine parts. Now, static charges, of course. So, how can you remove those static charges? If the suppose alpha particles are used. Okay, alpha particles, why? Because they can actually cause the least damage, biological damage, and also alpha particles does not have much penetrating power also. And important thing is alpha particle has the maximum ionizing power. That's why alpha particles have the maximum ionizing power. So if alpha particles are emitted, then what will happen? They will ionize the air. So the ions present in the air will actually remove the charges accumulated on the machine parts then, right? So in this way, so different, they find use in different industrial fields also. Okay, so just go through the uses of radioactivity, and if any particular point you face any doubt, you can ask me. Now next is the sources of harmful radiations and the safety precautions we should take. So I'm sure you know about the various accidents or the incidents which took place due to this nuclear from the nuclear power plants or nuclear reactions. I'm sure you have heard about the Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So you know about, aware of the fact how harmful is that for us, how much damage the radiations can cause to the human beings, animals, etc. And not only this radiations, they can not only cause for that is, it's not temporary damage, just like it happened in Nagasaki, Hiroshima. It can cause damage like generations after generations. Mutant babies can be produced like this. It's not that they can affect the genes also. So it's like tremendous. It's very harmful for the living beings. So that's why we have to take a lot of safety precautions. Lot of safety precautions are taken in the nuclear power plants also. So what are the possible things that can happen? First is a radioactive fallout from the nuclear power plants. That means if suppose by any chance it's certain accident occur and from the nuclear power plants, say the radiations, they escape outside the nuclear power plants, then what will happen? Obviously they will destroy the lives of many people who are living outside, right? So that's why this escaped radiation, so we call it the radioactive fallout. It can also happen if suppose by any chance the nuclear reactors where they are kept, the house, that building is not, say, that much strong, suppose if earthquake occurs or any explosion occurs, then also the radiations can escape out. So that is very dangerous. So that's why the nuclear power plants, they are shielded by lead walls, very thick lead walls. They are shielded by the very thick lead walls, and also they are built of very strong concrete buildings which can withstand the earthquakes, etc. So also they are situated in places where it's far away, a bit far away from the locality. People who are actually working in this, they wear the lead suits, lead tongs they use to, handle the different things. So lead, why lead? Because lead can actually stop the different radiations. Alpha particle can easily be stopped by even a certain thickness of paper. But for beta, we need few millimeter thick lead. For gamma, we need 30 centimeter thick lead. So that's why, to stop the radiations from penetrating in the ear or anywhere, so we need this lead shields. And the people who are working there also wear lead costumes or lead aprons. Then also the radioactive substances, they are always advised to keep in lead containers, through which they cannot easily escape out. In such a way they should be kept. And also nuclear waste is also another source of the harmful radiation. Nuclear waste means, suppose whatever the radioactive material is left after its use has been over. Say the uranium rod, which we take as fuel in the nuclear reactor, after its use is over, we cannot just dump it anywhere. So that nuclear waste, that means which is now, it cannot be used anymore, it should not be used anymore. That nuclear waste cannot be dumped anywhere. It's dumped far deep in the ground, so that even if the radiations come out, they cannot, at least should be deep, it should be buried so deep in the ground, so that the radiations, even they come out on the surface, they have to penetrate a long distance, and then only they can reach the earth's surface. And also in localities where it's far away from the places where people live actually. Now another source of harmful radiation is the cosmic radiation in X-ray. I forgot to mention one thing from the precaution part, that unfortunately, I don't know whether you remember or not, in class 9 I've mentioned you about the nuclear reactor different parts in brief. You had the chapter from energy, chapter 6 I guess. So there I've mentioned you have a fuel in nuclear reactor, then you have a cooling system, a coolant you have, which different parts I think I've also mentioned about the moderator, etc. So it's okay, you don't have to remember all those things, just for our reference I'm telling you. So actually the coolant is taken, and also a backup cooling system is also there, so that in any case that coolant fails, so that backup cooling system can also be used. Okay, so these are the various safety precautions which are taken. Now the last source for harmful radiation is the cosmic radiation or X-ray. Now suppose cosmic radiation is coming from the space, suppose. Okay. Now when they are reaching the earth, those radiations which are charged, okay, won't they be deflected by the earth's magnetic field? We all know earth has a magnetic field. We read in class 9. So therefore, they will be deflected by the earth's magnetic field. But what about those radiations which are not charged, like gamma radiations coming from outside the earth, then X-rays? So these cosmic radiations or X-rays, they are not deflected by the Earth's magnetic field. They can straight away, they can pass undeviated and reach the Earth's surface. So they can also cause harm then to us, right? Okay, so we have done the different sources of harmful radiations, then the safety precautions while dealing with the nuclear energy. So all those things we have done. Now a very small topic, which is background radiation. So what do you mean by background radiations? That means the radiations which we are all the time exposed to, even in the absence of any actual radioactive source. So basically we even don't know, we are not aware that we are all the time we are exposed to this radiations. Two types of sources: internal source, external source. External source is the one which I've just spoken about, like some cosmic radiation, solar radiation. So when they are in a permissible limit, it's not causing harm to us. But of course, if there are certain cosmic radiations and if it exceeds certain permissible limit, then it can cause harm. Then also for internal source, it's a very interesting fact that in our body also we have carbon 14, potassium, K40, those radioisotopes. So that means in our body also we are internal exposure to this radiations is there. But why aren't we affected? That's because those radiations are within a permissible limit, which is not causing any harm to us. Okay, so we have completed with chapter 12. So if you have any problem from radioactivity, whatever we have done, so any problem you can ask me, okay?